So after another instalment of the Nations League and England going into the knockout stages next year, the Premier League is returning. It's back this weekend. Club football is back and Manchester City are taking on West Ham at the London Stadium, 3 o'clock on Saturday. Going to be an interesting game, and the big talking point has got to be Benjamin Mendy's injury out for another 3 months. A big blow. Let's talk about the game. Let's talk about Mendy and everything else in between. Let's get into the episode. So I think the place that we've got to start really is the bad news we received from the press conference, Guardiola's conference before the game, and that is that Benjamin Mendy looks like he's going to be out for 3 months after having surgery on his knee, and that gives us a bit of a predicament. Mendy, who hadn't started the season in the greatest of form, to be fair, he's been decent, but a bit shaky in a few of the recent matches. Delph stepped up big time last season, and he did really well for England in the week as well, but he was playing in a central midfield role rather than a defensive role. But also, Alexander Zinchenko, however you pronounce it, I think it's Alexander. He did really well when he came in the Champions League game recently, I think it was. It was against Shakhtar, wasn't it? Played really well. Put in a couple of very nice performances for Ukraine as well. And he's a bit younger, and I do think he genuinely could have a future in the club, Zinchenko, because every time I see him play, he always looks solid. And I think the debate's going to be is who is going to be the stand-in, Zinchenko or Delph, and I think that is something that's going to change on a game-to-game basis. I think in games where we need a bit more of a physical nature, games where we're away from home, perhaps a bit more defending is going to have to be done. That is where Delph is going to be starting, so I think Delph is going to start tomorrow. In games where we're perhaps at home, perhaps seen as we're always the favourite team at home, but a game that you can see us dominating on the possession, a lot of possession, attacking a lot. I'm saying things that we do all the time here, but you know what I mean. Games where defensive responsibility probably isn't going to be needed all that much. That's when you're going to see Zinchenko coming in. So I do fancy that Delph's going to start tomorrow's game. And I think he's going to do a good job there. Let's not forget, Fabian Delph is a Premier League winning left-back. He was a big part in why we were champions last season. Filled in and did a fantastic job. So I think we've got to rely on that again. And, after he put in some great performances for England in the week as well, can only do his confidence world of good, I'm thinking. Elsewhere on the pitch, I think it's going to be pretty standard in terms of lineup. I think you're going to see Ederson in between the sticks. The rest of the back four is going to remain the same as usual. So there'll be Delphin at left back. He'll be coming in, of course. I think you're going to see Laporte and Stones holding down that centre-back partnership that they've been doing so well this season. And then Kyle Walker in at right back. Looking further forward from that, I think you're going to see Fernandinho in the anchoring position. I think you're going to see the partnership of the two Silvers once more, David and Bernardo, who have been so effective together in De Bruyne's absence. And then the front three is always the more interesting area at the moment, because we've just got so many options there. It's unreal. And I think you're going to see Aguero starting up top as the lone striker with, I'm going to say, Sterling and Mahrez either side. I think Mahrez really seems to have made that place his own. Who would have thought last season, the way Leroy Sané was playing, that he will be struggling to get into this team right now? What happened with the World Cup, didn't not make in the Germany squad. I was looking forward to the fact that I thought he might come back into the season, be fresh-legged, ready to go, and he just can't get into the team on a regular basis because Mahrez, although he started a bit slowly, has really been playing exceptionally well lately, and Sterling, the same can only be said for him as well. So Sané needs to earn that place back in the team, and I've got a bit of a concern that, if he's not able to nail down that spot, he's the kind of player that could go to pretty much any club in the world. So, although I'm pleased that Sterling and Mahrez are playing well, I do think we need to make sure Leroy gets the minutes and make sure he's playing as often as possible as well, because he's a very good player, he's a young player, and he's got the potential to spend the rest of his career at Man City and do really well. So I don't want to be losing him out just for a lack of playing time. But bit of a predicament, that's always going to be the case when you've got a squad like ourselves. Going back to a bit of other news that we had in the week, there was also the breaking story that Brahim Diaz looks like he's going to be leaving us, with Real Madrid showing interest, trying to convince him to not sign a new contract. And I just wanted to touch upon that because, him, Foden, Sancho, 3 players that were all coming through together not too long ago. Very exciting, all 3. Great potential players, all 3 of them, and there was a big thing that a lot of City fans, including myself, were hoping, I think, that all 3 of them would be breaking into the first team at the same time. Now, Obviously, let's not kid ourselves, that's going to be very difficult. I mean, when you're looking at Foden, he's got to dislodge De Bruyne, he's got to dislodge David Silva, Bernardo Silva, those calibre of players. Sancho is the same, he'd have to dislodge Sterling, Son. I mean, we were just talking about Son not being able to get into the team. Never mind Jadon Sancho, who was only 17 at the time. So you can understand why they're perhaps struggling to get the game time. But I do think when we've got these players with such high potentials, we need to do everything in our power to keep them. And if that does mean playing them, you know, let's do it, because players like Brahim Diaz, I'll be absolutely devastated if he goes, because he's such a great young player, undoubtedly got a massive future in the game. And I've mentioned it before, I wouldn't be surprised if Brahim Diaz was to go, if he then did something like we're seeing Sancho do at the moment. And then you get all this talk about, you know, could Sancho come back? You know, if he did come back again, would he get into the team? Perhaps that's something you could see in future. Maybe Sane doesn't get the game time, ends up leaving, Sancho comes back in. I mean, we're just spitballing here, that's like a million miles away right now. But yeah, it's just worth touching upon because Brahim Diaz is such a phenomenal young talent. I would be really disappointed if he left, and I do think him and Foden could build a partnership together in the City team in the future. So I'd love that to be the case, but right now that doesn't look like it's going to be happening. And with Real Madrid sniffing around, it could send, you could see Diaz leaving. So let me know your thoughts on that down below, guys. But yeah, I'll be absolutely gutted if Diaz leaves. Touching a bit more upon the game itself now, playing away from home in the Premier League, never easy. We have this knack of making it look like it is easy lately, but always going to be tough. West Ham, a physical team. Andy Carroll's back fit as well, so we could see him potentially in the starting 11. He would be a handful, I'm sure, for Laporte and Stones. You know, he's not the best striker in the Premier League by any stretch of the imagination, but if you get the balls in the box and he's on his day, he could be absolutely unplayable. So that's a potential strong point for them. But I think when you look at West Ham as a whole, there's a couple of players that really stand out, and they are Marco Arnautovic and Felipe Anderson. I think generally if you can keep those two guys quiet on the day, you're probably going to be keeping West Ham quiet. I think it's also worth touching upon Declan Rice, young player who we're actually linked with a little bit this week. Really doing well in the team this year. He started off as a centre-half last year, coming in, playing bits, but he's been nailing down that spot in midfield for West Ham this season. He's probably been one of the more impressive players this season. So I don't think he's quite the calibre to join City in the future. Maybe if he keeps on going and improving, it could be something that they're looking into more seriously. I think he was more like a backup if we weren't able to get Frankie de Jong right now. And yeah, Declan Rice, though, certainly a player with a lot of potential, and he's been performing really well for them this season. But again, I think just to reinforce, if you can stop Felipe Anderson, if you can stop Arnautovic, I do think we'll be winning the game, and I do fancy us to do just that. I did mention just Frankie de Jong. I feel like this video's all over the place. We're going into the game and then the gossip and then the game and the gossip. But yeah, it's another story that broke this week that we're really intensifying our attempts to sign him. Talk of 70 million being the transfer fee. A player that everyone reckons can come in and sort of slot into that Fernandinho role, and a player with a lot of potential. You guys that watch my Man City career mode will know we picked him up on there. But you know, exciting to see that we're looking to reinforce, and exciting to see as well that we're looking to invest in young players. But again, if we were to sign Frankie de Jong, there's another midfield spot that could be going that perhaps Foden could be looking at in the future, or Diaz. So again, it's a real fine balancing act at the moment, and going to be interesting because it really does look like we're going all out for Frankie de Jong. So if he was to come, I mean, again, where does he slot in? Where does Foden then slot in? It's really, really difficult. Going back to the game there, like I said, we've gone through our lineup, we've gone through West Ham's lineup. I think we all know the style of play that West Ham go for. They can be very, very dangerous on the counter-attack, though now more so than in previous years with the likes of Arnautovic and with the likes of Felipe Anderson. I think a lot of people forgot about Lanzini as well. I mean, he's still injured out for the majority of the season. You know, when he comes back, he's going to be like a new Sonic, because he was their best player last season, I think, and a very tricky midfielder as well. If you consider the fact that they have him linking up with Arnautovic and Anderson, that's a really potentially dangerous attacking midfield, and a couple of decent attackers they've got there. So certainly the fact that they've got him to come back bodes well for them in the future. I think it's also worth touching upon the fact that we've got Pellegrini as the manager, of course. You've got Zabaleta, the former player there. And we recently had Joe Hart there. There's a lot of links between Man City and West Ham right now, and I do respect Zabaleta so much. We all know he's an icon of Man City, he's a legend of the club, but my word, I hope that Mahrez can have him on toast on that side in the game tomorrow. Certainly not his best anymore, Zabaleta, but still got a lot to give. He's putting some solid performances lately, and when they played against Man United recently, it was absolutely exceptional. So love you, Zabaleta, but I hope you have a stinker. When it comes down to Pellegrini, I think you'll find nothing but love from City fans for him as well. Did great things, obviously won the league in his time at City, and you can see the brand of football he's trying to pass on to West Ham there. They've got some attacking players, an exciting to watch team when they get going, and although they had a tricky start, they had a really tough start in terms of fixtures, and I don't think there's any doubt in anyone's mind that they'll be safe, secure this season, and probably be in that top half, potentially even pushing for Europa League. And Pellegrini's a great manager they've got in charge there, and really is looking to take the club forward. But yeah, in terms of my expected result, I do expect us to win the game. I do expect us to win it in a decent style as well. I can see us keeping a clean sheet. We all know how good our defence has been this season, although every time I predict us to keep a clean sheet, we don't seem to do so. So hopefully that isn't going to curse us. But I'm going to go for a 3-0 City win. I think it's a bit of a cop-out scoreline prediction. A lot of people will say that, but I do genuinely think that's going to be the score tomorrow. Love to hear what your thoughts are on the game, what your predictions are, and anything that I've touched upon in this video as well. Leave your thoughts in that comment section down below. But that is going to end up the video, guys. Don't forget, we've crossed over 500 subscribers, which means the next career mode episode is going to be an hour-long special, and I'm hoping to get that up for you guys this weekend, so look out for that. There will, of course, be a reaction to the game after that's finished as well. But yeah, leave all your thoughts in the comment section down below. Leave a big thumbs up if you have enjoyed the video, and I will catch you all in the next video over the weekend, guys. Have a great evening. Nidge out.